Star Trek and the New World Order. So, in the world of Star Trek, people think it's like this perfect utopian society where everyone just puts in their couple hours a day and things are perfect. But Star Trek was created to as like a stepping stone to get people on board with the idea of a one world government. So, in order for it to work, you had to start with the money, because it all comes down to money. And in Star Trek, people think there's no money, but there is. And in Star Trek, it's called energy credits. So, when you went to school in Starfleet Command and you graduated and you became a lieutenant or a doctor, there's no lawyers that I know of. The AI is your lawyer. The AI is your law and governance is all AI. But in Star Trek, the your money is your energy credits. So you graduate, you can become a captain, get promoted, go to school, be part of the Federation, be part of a crew of a starship, and go explore the galaxy and look to see if you can get yourself into some trouble. But the energy credits, now how you got energy in Star Trek, there's multiple ways, but the most advanced way is the when Zefram Cochrane invented the warp drive. They had mined a mineral or element called dilithium, and the dilithium was burned to power the engine and the electrical systems and power everything to create a warp drive, which I'm trying to explain. I mean, it really doesn't matter what the warp drive is. This is all going to be about money. So you had energy credits, and this is all going to go together as one piece. There's so much going on in Star Trek that people don't understand. But so the money. So you can't just have printed infinite amount of worthless fiat money in the world, because what happens is the money loses value as time goes by. So the people that were saving their money, saving their dollars or whatever currency you use, doesn't matter the currency of the government, whatever you're saving in fiat loses value over time. So you can never retire. You retire broke. The money that you've been saving your entire life isn't worth anything. So you can't retire. You're broke. You just have to work till the day you die. 97 years old and still working, because the money you're being paid is worth less as time goes by. So I think Satoshi Nakamoto and the National Security Administration and these groups of very powerful cabal of people know this. In order to have a world government, you need a world currency. And you cannot have a world currency that lasts when it loses value over time. So the only currency you can have in a world government, a world currency, would have to be a currency that's tied to energy. And the energy that we use today is not oil. It's not gas. It was back in the day, but it's not anymore. The energy we use today is electricity. Your computers are electric. Your cars are electric. Your oven is electric. Everything's electric nowadays. Now, don't get me wrong, we still have gas. But if you look it up, 90% of China is electric. There's very few gas cars, maybe some gas scooters. But 90% of China is electric. And China's huge. Now, So when you have a world government and you have a world currency, this currency has to be tied to electric energy. Because when you have a currency, a token, or a coin, or a credit tied to energy, there are only two things in this world. There's matter, like your hat, your hands, like there's physical matter. And then there's the energy in the world that creates the matter, and the energy that destroys the matter. And so you need a currency that's not tied to the matter, because the matter doesn't last. You need a currency that's tied to energy, electricity. And so in our current world, with worthless fiat and money that loses value, we have a new currency, a digital currency, a currency that is tied to electricity. So there are two forms of currency. There is proof of stake currencies, which do not require electricity. They don't have a cap max supply of coins. They can just click some buttons on a computer and make more coins. Or you have a proof of work currency that is tied to energy production and how much energy there is. And that's Bitcoin and Kaspa and Verus. There's a whole bunch of currencies that require mining, which consumes electricity to run the blockchain, to be a token, a credit. Now, these tokens and credits can be converted back into electricity by simply paying an electric bill, or purchasing more miners, or purchasing more equipment to secure the blockchain. But and that's the only currency that has true value. It's not proof of work currency. It's not worthless dollars and worthless fiat that's being debased and losing value by the decade. The real currency, and you can have an argument that, it's gold and silver. And yeah, gold and silver is great. In Star Trek, they had gold press latinum. But it's not easy to transact in a currency that's so expensive. Not a currency, transact in a money that's so expensive like gold. You can't just give someone a $10,000 gold coin and get a loaf of bread. So you need to be able to fractionalize it to fractions of a decimal. And that's why blockchain technology was invented. There's many reasons why, but in the world of Star Trek, this dystopian one world government, one world currency, it will be run off a proof of work currency that's tied to real value, which is in energy, electricity. Just like in Star Trek, the energy credits they use in Star Trek to go like, take my shift for the hour and I'll trade you for my energy credits to get time on the holodeck, which cost energy to use the holodeck. Or replicator rations. To replicate a hot cup of coffee takes energy. And so you need credits tied to that energy that has physical value to the energy, and that's proof of work currencies like Bitcoin and Kaspa. So when we move into a one world government, the only currencies that will be measurable and have a valuable will be proof of work currencies like Kaspa and Bitcoin, or any other proof of work currency that requires physical hardware, computation, and electricity, because the price of electricity will go up as time goes by and more people move away from oil and stuff that's expensive and hard to refine and mine. And they will move towards currencies that are more liquid and tied one-to-one with electricity, energy consumption. And Elon Musk has already said that you're not going to have universal basic income. Your dollar is not going to be worth anything. He said you will have universal high income. And the only way you can have universal high income is if you're paying people in a currency that not only retains its value, but increases in value. And as the population gets larger and energy becomes more and more consumed, it becomes more and more valuable. And therefore, energy will be money. And the way to measure that money, because I can't just say, hey, oh, yeah, plug your extension cord in and you get unlimited amount. They have to put a meter on it. And when you put a meter on it, it has to be measured by decimals or numbers, something with numerical value. And that measurement will be Satoshis. It will be measurements of Kaspa or any proof of work currency that has a set supply and is tied to a physical form of energy. Yeah, and Star Trek. I think Star Trek was way ahead of its time. I think that's the world we're currently living in, but it needs work and refined. But yeah, proof of work currencies, Bitcoin. You want a global one world government? You can only do that if you have a global currency, and that's proof of work currencies. So, something to consider. Are you going to be transacting in gold and silver in the future for a loaf of bread? Are you going to be sending fractions of your energy credits, your Satoshis, your Kaspas, for trade and barter, for labor, for work, for food, for water, for energy time on the holodeck? Pick. What do you want? So, yeah, I'm going to bed. Good night.